Hello there. We're finally back with some Haas. We are about halfway through the second season. We're pretty close to Red Bull, just 14 points behind them. We are leading the Driver Championship with Magnussen. So things are looking actually fairly good here. Now, in terms of our car, we do have what is arguably the best car on the grid. But we're also, well, I guess you could argue Red Bull actually does have the best car on the grid with their top speed. Lacking low speed, the better is in high speed. So I guess we're second, let's be fair. Cornering is incredibly valuable, but let's face it, Red Bull isn't far behind in these two. They're actually a little bit ahead in the high speed. We've got 1.5 kph, but hopefully we'll be able to alleviate that over the course of this episode, as we are actually manufacturing some new parts here, the chassis, the underfloor, rear wing side pods. And once we get these, I would assume that we are going to be a bit better, particularly as we have been working on, well, 3 chassis here to boost expertise. We've been working on a couple of side pods for the same purpose. And, well, we are making new underfloors as well. As you can see, this one gives us a little bit more the high speed, a little bit more the low speed. But the next one is going to most likely be the better, if you will, investment. That should be all right. Now, we did make a new front wing that I think we are going to go ahead and manufacture. This is a fairly minor boost, but it is a boost nonetheless. So we're going to go ahead and make 4 of that one. We will not have it for Budapest, but we'll have it for the next, well, race weekend. As you can see, front wing design has been completed. I think we might need to make another one, but considering that we are going to, as you can see, need at least 17 days before we get started on that, we are going to go ahead and manufacture that little bit of a boost that the current front wing is giving us, and then we can have a look and see if we want to make another addition, but I think we might be done with it. We'll see. Now, next up, I think we're just going to jump into Hungary, but I just want to double check because I think the underfloor that we are using isn't among the best. And as you can see, this one has better high-speed cornering, but this one has better top speed. So we can go ahead and install that on both cars now. Suspensions are good. Everything is looking good. Again, we are, only having 3 dipods, 3 chassis is a bit of an issue. But I think it will be okay because, again, we do have projects that are going to finish fairly soon. So we're just going to hope that we're not going to be breaking anything in Hungary and in Belgium. Because as long as we get ourselves through Belgium peacefully, we'll have the summer break to manufacture new pieces. So I think we're fine. With that said, though, let's just head into the next race weekend here. And I guess for basically Hungary and Belgium, the main goal will just be to have a bit of damage control, so to speak. As long as we don't lose that too much to Red Bull, I'm pretty sure that once we get the new parts, we'll be way more competitive. So yeah, damage control is going to be the name of the game, and I think we'll do well. So let's just head into Hungary. This one is going to be difficult. As you can see, it's going to be pouring rain on race day. So that's going to make life a little bit harder for us. Let's see how it goes. So quali went fairly well. Magnussen isn't too far behind Perez and Verstappen. Hulkenberg is a little bit further behind, but honestly, it's acceptable-ish. So we'll be working with what we have. Now, for Sunday, it is going to be heavy rain, but just for a very short period. So this could make things fairly interesting. Yeah, that's going to be instantly for wets. Then we're going to go inters. Then we're going to go something till the end. Potentially hard tires. Okay. Let's see here what we can do with this. Can we go full attack on the hards into the rain? And we can. Lap 15 or so. How about the mediums? I assume they will be very close, a little bit too close for comfort, I might add. So I think we'll go with the hards. We'll try and work our way through as many cars as possible before the rain arrives. Then we are going to go with, on lap 15, wet tires, and I think these two will just be full attack. Going to go with inters on around lap 31, 32. again on full attack, and that's not gonna last for very long. We'll have to see though. The thing is, things can change. Then lap 40, we need to make a decision. So you can see we could make it work on the hard tires. That would be strategy A. We do have 2 sets of Haas. These are hardly used, pun intended. That could work. But what I want to see here is actually if we can, say, use a medium tire on conserve. Is that going to be quicker? About 2 seconds quicker, so we can do that. And also what this tells me is that we most likely will not be able to use a soft tire on conserve. No, we're going to have to allow more rain to pass to make that happen. But I think this is going to be the base strategy. We start on the hard tire, we go wets, then we go inters, then we go mediums. Of course, the rain could come in differently than advertised, if you will. So we're going to have to work with that. But the hard tire will give us a little bit of flexibility, provided that, you know, the rain doesn't arrive too late or too early. So I'm happy with using a hard tire here for this, because we can use the medium after the rainy period is done with. And again, using the hard tire here rather than the medium is purely due to me wanting to be safe in the choice of, well, tire, because we can then extend to around lap 20 if we need to. If the rain arrives earlier, we're going to get a little bit punished, of course, but it would be better than, say, us running the medium on full attack. The rain arrives a couple laps earlier and the tires are starting to go off. We could, of course, run them aggressive to make up for that. We could also take a soft tire here, run it on light. Honestly, that might be an idea to just have a look at here with Magnussen. Would it be better if we ran a soft tire on light? Would that be faster? Not really, provided we pit on lap 15. It's about 2 seconds, 2 seconds slower, and again, just being able to run the hard tire on full attack with the entire stint, I think is going to be its own reward. So we'll go with this. Soft tire is going to be most likely a little bit quicker because we can run attack towards the end, but the hard tire is just going to give us a little bit of extra coverage, if you will. So that's why we're going with it. Everything has been set up. We're ready to jump into the race, so let's go ahead and do so.
There's a fantastic... And here we go with the Hungarian...
And let's see how this goes. So everyone here has actually, well, for the most part, chosen the hard tires. And that does kind of hint towards that the rain is actually going to arrive later. The AI generally is good at guessing it. There's also some medium runners. Since there's no soft runners, we're not going to really be at a disadvantage. So I'm happy with that. Magnussen immediately start tussling with Verstappen a little bit. Might actually get him here into the second corner. Question is, can we stay ahead into the third corner? And it looks like we are. So good start for Magnussen. Not as good of a start of Hulkenberg. It's down into 7th. But as I mentioned here, with a lot of hard runners, some medium runners, only Norris on the softs, I think we'll be fine. Let's just have Verstappen reclaims his position. But Magnussen not really willing to give that up. So for the time being, shouldn't be a surprise. The task at hand is just going to be to try and work Magnussen as high up on the grid as possible. Same with Hulkenberg. We want to be as high up on the grid as possible when the rain arrives. And hopefully, we can get at least 1 or 2 more overtakes done before that time. Again, should be around lap 15. Lap 15, 16 now. So yeah, moved a little bit further ahead there on the rain. So the hard tire might actually be a pretty good idea here, as the Red Bulls do pull a little bit ahead, but they should be slowing down fairly soon. And with that, we might be able to catch up a little bit, but yeah, the Red Bulls do have a bit of an advantage that we need to kind of fix, hopefully, with our current development. Hulkenberg up to 6th. We'll keep on working here, and we'll see where we're at once we get to the rainy period. So, interestingly enough here, the rain is moving further and further away. So, we might actually be in a bit of trouble here, even with the hard tires, as lap 20 is basically what I mentioned earlier, the upper limit for these tires. But we have created gaps to the rest of the grid, so it's not really a big deal if we end up losing a little bit of time, as Norris ends up pitting earlier than everyone else. He's getting punished for running those soft tires, so definitely the good choice in not to run soft tires. But now we have to take into consideration what we want to do, because I think we just need to turn these down to standard, and that's going to hurt us quite a bit because we have burned through these tires quite rapidly. Now, we're not going to really be able to run attack till the end of this stint, simply because if we do so, we are going to end up losing out quite a bit just from running the tires down to potentially 20%. So we're going to back off a little bit here. It's going to hurt us. There's no other way around that. It's going to hurt our lap times compared to the rest of the grid. But it's better to lose a few seconds here at this point than to potentially be forced to pit earlier later on. And the key here now is that it's going to take 4 minutes for the rain to start drizzling, but we need to keep going for another 8 minutes most likely, as we don't get proper rain until a little bit further down the order there. I assume Verstappen had a bit of an incident. He did. He had a lockup,
Right, we're
as
down
I
at
saw
turn 5.
Magnussen had.
Well, you can see the lockup, but that's just the risk you take. The later you...
I think he should have been able to join in ahead of Magnussen, let's be fair. And he definitely shouldn't be 3 seconds behind. That's just because he had to full stop. So that is a little bit frustration there, again. But yeah, even if the rain starts in 3 minutes, I don't think it's going to get full wets immediately. So yeah, tires here. Been pushed a little bit further than we expected, but you can kind of see here the problem with not upgrading your weather center. But it's a conscious choice that I make to keep these weather races a little bit more interesting.
Looks like to us it's raining.
Rain has begun.
Yes.
A little bit earlier than anticipated, which is good. But we are going to have to do at least 1 or 2 more laps even here with the current setup. And Hulkenberg is going to be pitting into potentially 3 other cars. That could be him losing some positions. We'll have to see though. And it is going up fairly slow here.
We expect rain again. Could be.
But within a minute, we should be seeing a lot more rain. So hopefully it'll be fine. We'll just have to see.
What about tyres?
Is tires coming to an end now?
Tires are coming to an end, but we are still staying with Perez. That's going to be the big one.
How's the tyre day?
Virtual safety car.
It's going.
Understood, okay.
I think we want to take advantage of this virtual safety car. It's Tsunoda in the wall. Final corner.
Just +0 on delta time, okay?
The question is, how much tire are we going to lose by pitting early?
Wall, 15. And there's debris.
Is everyone okay?
I think it's going to be a decent chunk, but it is virtual safety car. We're moving very, very slow at the moment. Now, if we take a quick look at the time consideration here, we save about 5 seconds pitting under virtual safety car. But I think we kind of have to here. Magnus's tires are gone, Hulkenberg's tires are gone. I don't think we're getting a full lap under VSC here. In addition to what we have, we were around here when it happened. Well, not really, we were over here. So we could gamble on 1 more lap under virtual before we pit to save some tire. And I think it is going up slow enough that we want to do that. Verstappen does pit, however, but I want to gamble. We're going to gamble here. Everyone else is pitting. It is a virtual safety car. I still think that we can benefit from just staying out a little bit further, which is what we're doing.
How is the track conditions?
Okay, never mind. It immediately started pouring down, so we're gonna need the virtual now to keep us alive. Basically. Yeah, that came hard. I didn't think it would come that hard really, but it did. Luckily, we did survive with the virtual. It is ending though. That is bad. As Magnussen gets out with 3 seconds on the time. Does come out almost in first, comes out in second, so not terrible. Hulkenberg, however, did definitely lose out from us not pitting him early enough. So that is gonna sting. But we are just going to run these tires now full attack, and we are going to try and move ahead. I didn't fully trust that it was going to go immediately wet before the rain started proper, but it did, so that is on me. But yeah, we'll try and move everyone forwards again. We are going to have a jump to inters in a little bit, I believe, so let's see how things turn out there. And because the rain was so much delayed, we might be able to use softs at the end here. We'll have to see. We are getting increasingly closer here to inters, and I'm kind of tempted to jump in right now with Hulkenberg here. The inters are going to come into the picture here pretty rapidly. We're going to keep them going until around lap 50. So what I'm thinking is for Hulkenberg here, we get him in somewhat early, and we try and use that to jump the cars ahead. As this is going down fairly rapidly, Magnussen we're going to do one more lap with, because, well, we can. And let's see if Hulkenberg is the only one that gets in early. And that does seem to be the case here. Around 360 is generally when we would like to switch. So as long as we come out around that, we should be fine. But we did lose 2 seconds at a slow pit stop. So we're going to have to really, really get a move on here if we wish to get any sort of overtaking done. So I'm going to allow for deploy. I'm going to allow for push. That will hopefully allow us to overtake some cars there once the pit stops do start. You can already see Verstappen, a lot of them are still staying out. Hulkenberg now is coming around the order here, but Alonso is the one that we want to try and jump. And currently we are within Alonso's window. So if they don't pit, they're gonna regret it, I think. But we'll have to see here exactly how this works out. As Verstappen is now in the pits, Alonso stays out for one more lap. And we almost actually managed to jump Verstappen, but I think Alonso is actually kind of being a bit of a nuisance for us. But at this point, Hulkenberg should have no problem jumping Alonso, and almost no problem jumping Perez even. So let's keep on pushing. See if we can get Perez too. That would be pretty amazing if we did. Perez does pit now. Alonso pits as well. Let's see what Hulkenberg can do here. A little bit slow. Should be able to get Alonso. Very close to getting Perez there. If we had a little bit more to go on, maybe we would have gotten him too. But we are definitely pushing these tires for everything they're worth. And Magnussen and Verstappen now has basically a pit stop on everyone else on the grid. So that is looking good. Now, in terms of the last 20 laps here, in terms of strategy, we're going to have to most likely go onto the soft tire. I think that should be fine. Let's see, lap 50 here, soft tire. We can run it standard, we can run it light. We actually save time by running light, so I think that is what we're going to do. So we do have now the strategy available to us. We do also have the medium tire, but I don't think that can be pushed for 20 laps. I think it can only be pushed for 15. So let's have a look at that just to be on the safe side. The medium, yeah, it can be pushed for 15, so we could run it a standard and then an attack towards the end. It's actually slightly quicker than the soft tire, so medium might be the way to go here. Could also be the hard tire, honestly, if we can run it full attack again. Let's see. Can't run it full attack. Just doesn't have the capabilities, and it is going to be slower than the mediums no matter how we do it. So standard medium, attack towards the end is going to be the fastest thing available to us by the looks of things. So we're just going to keep on burning these tires. We're going to get rid of them very, very soon, so there's no reason not to. Let's see if we can create some gaps to have a bit of a more comfortable third pit stop here. We're getting to the dries again, and Hulkenberg has been struggling with getting the overtake done on Hulkenberg. So Hulkenberg has struggling to get the overtake done on Paris. So what I am thinking we do here is for Hulkenberg that we jump him in right now. Track is still damp, but it's going to dry up very, very soon. So I think getting him in on the medium right now would be beneficial, and we'll keep him on attack for a couple of laps, just so he maybe be able to, as I mentioned, jump Paris, and then we can tune him down later. Magnussen, we're going to push for one more lap here. He's not really catching up to Verstappen too quickly, so that should be okay.
It is getting close.
Yeah, 80% of the track does have a dry line, and Hulkenberg on his exit 0.9 millimeters, so it's not terrible. But Science Tech could pose a bit of a problem if we can't get the overtake done. So, yeah, potentially here, Science is going to be slowing us down just a tad. And that might be the problem. It looks like Paris had a bit of a slower stop that allows Hulkenberg to jump him. So it did work out, add to our advantage, kind of what we were hoping for. Now for Magnussen here, I think we're going to keep on running attack just to see if we can jump Verstappen too. That would be key if we could pull that off. Verstappen is entering the pits. Magnussen has the last 3 corners remaining. And I think we just about did it. Yeah, that did work. Question is just now, can we retain these positions until the end of the race, as Hulkenberg does get overtaken there again by Perez. Is he going on to... yeah, he's going on to a medium tire. So we do have a couple of problems here. Fuel, mainly, that we need to recover for Hulkenberg. But we'll try here and keep... see if we can keep up with the Red Bulls, maybe get a little bit of overtaking done. But Perez is definitely pushing his tires right now, I'm pretty sure, so... we'll see if we can catch back up to him, get the overtake done. But pit stop wise, we did well there. We did jump both cars over the course of the pit stops. Currently, I believe they're heating their tires. But we can, probably, at least in Magnussen's case, give Verstappen a bit of fight towards the end. We have a virtual safety car, as Verstappen is actually sent it into the wall on the second to last lap. That is very unfortunate.
Sure
Luckily for us, though, Hulkenberg did make the overtake on Paris a couple of laps back.
Now, this was on the straight.
But this is very lucky for us, because if Verstappen didn't have that crash, no way we're catching him. It was a good 5 seconds ahead of Magnussen there. So this is definitely a way better result than we would have deserved. Probably second and third would be within our grasp, but Verstappen definitely would have won this race. No way we would have caught him. And with that, we are on the final lap here now, under virtual safety car. We might see a slight attack from Paris if it ends. But, yeah, really, really lucky there that Verstappen did have a bit of a inopportune moment on the second to last lap. We're just going to allow Hulkenberg to push to make sure that he can retain the last few corners. There isn't really... well, there is a bit of a gap there. It's not really a big threat, but I'd rather be on the safe side. So 1-2. That's a good start. Good start to this episode. Can't complain, really. And if we take a look at the other results there, we do have Paris in third, of course, but we have Alonso, Leclerc, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Sainz, and Gasly who gets that last point scoring position ahead of his teammate. So, honestly, a pretty good race, but again, I think second and third would have been more... it's what we should have been getting. But we'll take that. And it's very unfortunate for Verstappen, but it does now give Magnussen a fairly healthy lead. So we're going to be very, very happy with that. In Constructors, we do now overtake Red Bull because of that, with 13 points ahead. And we'll have to see if we can keep that lead going after Belgium. Yeah, we did have one slow pit stop in that race, but even then, it didn't really mess too much with Hulkenberg's position in the grand scheme of things. But it did make it a little bit tougher for him. Car part inspection, we did fail a rear wing and a suspension. That is fine. We are already developing a new suspension. And the rear wing too, we are developing new ones. But I'm going to go ahead and just manufacture one. As they are quick to manufacture, we'll get it done before Belgium. And for the suspension, can't really do anything about that because we already have the suspension manufacturing going on here. So we just have to wait for that to finish. Sporting regulation changes. Let's see here. What did we get? Okay, more win time for the lower end teams. It got voted down, as far as I can see. So, a bit unfortunate there, but again, we're not going to be doing the same any further than just this season, most likely, unless we have a really, really bad end to it. So I'm not too bothered there. Now we're going to be heading into Belgium, which is a sprint weekend. Hopefully we can keep things going. We also do have a bit of a different concern, which would be the fact that our ERSs are starting to get to the point where we are going to need replacing them. So we might end up taking penalties here. We'll have to see. Let's go to Belgium. Let's see if we can keep things going. Not the best quality this time around, with both Hulkenberg and Magnussen ending up 4th and 7th. Well, good 6 tenths behind Verstappen, who is 2 tenths ahead of Perez again. So, yeah, potentially a little bit of a bad weekend up ahead for us. You can also see Stroll here in the Aston Martin up in 3rd. That is a bit of a surprise, same as Tsunoda in 8th. So a bit of a shake-up here in the positions. Russell 5th. So I'm looking forward to this race weekend. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a problem with ERSs, and I think maybe we will try and take advantage of this race weekend to get a pair of new ones for both cars. I think that could be a good way to solve some of our problems. And yeah, as I said here, both cars need new ERSs. There's just no way around it. Magnussen is going to need one at the next race weekend for sure. He doesn't have any spare ones that we can use for practice purposes. So I think maybe we'll just eat the double penalty here, get that out of the way, and push for a 2-stopper here at the Belgian GP, which should allow us to get back some of those positions that we will potentially lose. And also, as you saw, Verstappen will also be eating some penalties, so it's not a terrible idea to just get things, take these penalties here, I do feel. Decent starting confidence for both boys here at 90 and 85%. Not too terrible. But yeah, I do think eating the penalties for the ERSs is probably a good idea to just do at the moment. So we're going to go ahead here. We're going to install a new car part. In terms of getting maximum use out of this ERS, we probably should have taken the penalty just in quali. That would have been more. That would have been a more clever way of doing it, so we could get most out of this thing in race pack. But yeah, if we use it in the race and then next race weekend, we're probably going to end up in a situation where we're going to have to replace it anyway. So what we're going to do with the ERS is actually pretty simple. We'll use it in the sprint, and I do believe that we're allowed to switch back to the previous ERS, basically our second ERS before the race itself, and that's what we'll be doing for both cars. But we'll be eating the penalty here, just get that out of the way. It's just going to make life a little bit easier. Also going to go ahead and use the full attack medium strategy. It is the quickest strategy around here, provided we don't get any safety car or virtual safety cars that will make the soft tires save a little bit of tire wear. So that is what we're going for. So yeah, starting 4th, 7th. Let's see what we can do in the sprint here and where we end up starting for the race itself. Hopefully we can make up a few places so that we don't get sent too far towards the back of the grid. Let's see how this actually turns out.
15 long. Here we are, the sprint around Spa-Francorchamps.
So soft tires for everyone, not a big surprise.
It's lights out and away
And
we go.
we'll go ahead and turn down the risk. And again, it seems to be a common theme lately that there is a question, why do I set the driver risk to relatively dependent low? There's 2 reasons. Mainly, it reduces risk of crashing. That's the main reason, but it also helps slide on lap times. You are going to get potentially more overtaken, but it is a risk that I'm willing to take. And in Magnus' case, we've actually already lost 1 position, so bit of a unfortunate moment for him. Hulkenberg looking good, and I think we're just going to speed things along here. And as I said, the goal here in this sprint is just to try and make up some places. You can already see Hulkenberg is a little bit slower than the first 3 here. The gap being formed, and him now in the
DRS is enabled.
Luckily not in the wall, but in the runoff.
It's all at the final corner, and that won't help their chances.
So good that he didn't crash. Bad that he got sent to the Shadow Realm. And with that, we're actually just going to put him too aggressive here. We're going to kind of have to just try and keep these tires alive till the end. So a bit unfortunate for Hulkenberg. Nothing we really can do with it. Magnussen here, we're going to have to try and move him forward. But this definitely does mean that taking even more penalties might be on the menu, as Albon has his own lockup and moves Hulkenberg up to 19. So we'll keep on trying to move forwards here in the grid order, and hopefully have some good overtakes. We have a red flag here after a Norris spin, by the looks of things. And he's just parked in a bad spot. I assume some cars might have gotten damaged here. But this makes it very interesting because we now have a restart. Just a couple laps towards the end there on the sprint. And I think what we're going to do here is actually just use all soft tires. Because I would like to have 2 fresh sets of softs for the race itself. Would also like to have extra mediums. To have some difference in strategy. And let's face it, there's not really much difference between those soft tires. It's just going to be a couple of laps. For Hulkenberg here, we're just going to use a pair of fresh softs. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what we use. But I don't think we're going to end up using 3 sets of softs in the race. But if we have more red flags, we could. So it might backfire, but I think it's going to be okay. Not really much we can do with it anyways. But that was a bit of an interesting red flag. Because of Norris's spin. Could actually seem that we didn't have any real issues. The question now is, I don't think I've seen a red flag during a sprint. So the big question here for me is going to be straight up, did everyone switch tires? They did. Rick's definitely the only one with the purple ones. And there was some Gasly on old softs, DeVries on old softs, so a bit interesting in the choices. I don't know why you're not sending it there, Hulkenberg. Need to be more aggressive. Magnussen has fallen down to 9th, so yeah, we're not having really a good time around this place. Magnussen has been struggling to really get anything done, honestly. And that is a bit unfortunate. Nothing really we can do about it. And let's face it here, everyone is just going to go full attack for these last 2 laps. So even if we do make up some positions, I don't think it's really going to matter much in the grand scheme of things. Last lap has begun. And I think we're going to basically end up where we are, 9th and 16th. No point score during the sprint, which is going to be a little bit disappointing with the Red Bulls 1-2. Russell made it up 3rd, Stroll in 4th.
Flag.
So we'll have to see just how far down here now Verstappen does get sent, because he too is going to be eating a penalty. So yeah, bit unfortunate for us. Gasly scores points for Alpine, Tsunoda scores points for Williams, Alonso scores the final point, but yeah, not a good weekend. Albon is going to be eating a penalty too. But I'm curious now exactly where Verstappen is going to end up starting. So with the new ERSs, we are taking 10 grid place penalties, which, well, puts us to the back of the grid, which shouldn't come as a big surprise. We also do want to switch to the previous ERSs, as we talked about earlier. We just wanted to kind of eat the penalty here, so that is exactly what we'll do. And for the strategy, we're going to go with a very simple one. We're going to go full attack on the soft to begin with. We're going to go full attack on the medium. And the reason why we're doing it like this is very simple. By going full attack on the soft, we'll be able to pit before everyone else. And that's kind of going to be the key here with how far back we're starting. We want to pit before everyone else on the soft tire. We want to get onto the medium, and we're going to keep on pushing on that medium so we can hopefully jump a lot of cars in the pits. And then we'll do the same here towards the end, where we're going to have to take overtakes, but hopefully on much better tires than cars around us. So that's kind of what we're hoping for here, that we can create a bit of a gap by jumping cars in the pits for the medium, and then creating a gap to the cars behind, so that on the final stint we don't have to do too many overtakes. And I think that is a reasonable way to do things here, hopefully. Now Verstappen is also going to eat a penalty, but I don't know how harsh of a penalty. He might be at the back of the grid with us, he might not. We'll have to see now when the race actually begins. There's one. Where's the second one? Just there, so he took a 5-place penalty, I assume. That does seem to be the case with Verstappen here in 5th place now. So yeah, not really much of a penalty for him. Now Magnussen is actually getting kind of attacked by DeVries. So yeah, not very promising for this race weekend, let's be perfectly honest. But yeah, the plan is, as mentioned earlier, we're going to try and just move as far forwards as we can on these soft tires, build confidence, and then we'll try and pit a little bit before everyone else, get onto that medium set, start chasing down the gap that forms, and hopefully through this, be able to jump a bunch of the cars in the pit stops. That is going to be the hope, even though Hulkenberg immediately pulls up a spin.
Copy that.
So, Yeah,
Now
not a
this was
good
turn one.
not a good race weekend for us. Hulkenberg's not
Round
having
and spin.
a
And
good
once it
time.
started,
Luckily enough, though, he was basically second to last, so no red flag as a result, but he did lose a good 7 seconds here. But let's be honest, I don't think he's going to have much trouble catching back up. The main problem is just going to be to build back that confidence. But yeah, we'll keep on pushing until that first pit stop, and then we'll see where we stack up against the rest of the grid. We are getting increasingly closer to the pit stops. I think we are going to get started on this lap with Hulkenberg, and then we'll do Magnussen on the next lap. Magnus actually had a pretty good run here over the last 11 lap, making it up to 10th, potentially 9th by the time he pits. But it has gone very, very well for him, so we can't be too upset here. And with just 14 seconds to Paris and Verstappen, and 10 seconds up to Russell, potentially if we play our cards right here and we don't get held up once we actually do end up pitting Magnussen, we might be able to actually create a bit of a good situation there with jumping some of the cars behind. As Hulkenberg now finds his way into the pit, we'll see exactly how long this takes. 3.3 seconds. Not the fastest stop we ever done, but at least no pit stop errors. And as mentioned here, Magnussen has actually made his way up into 9th position. You can kind of see it, he's already pulling a bit ahead there. So as long as we get into a good gap here, it should be fine. Pit stops here take around 18 seconds, so he's going to end up, well, towards the back of the grid. He's going to have to do overtakes, unfortunately, and that might actually ruin the strategy a little bit. We'll have to see, though. As Gasly, a lot of these cars will need to pit, but there is a lot of medium runners towards the back that could make Magnussen's life fairly miserable. He does come out in middle of the pack, though, so we are going to have to just try and push immediately and try and get past these guys, because if we don't, we are going to be losing that time that we're hoping to gain. If we had come out here ahead of Rick, for instance, that would have been pretty darn amazing. But we are currently running side by side with the Williams, and hopefully we can, although I have been running Hulkenberg a bit too aggressively here, hopefully we can, with Magnussen, Hulkenberg's going to have a hard time, get something done here with DRS. But let's face it, the Alfa Romeo has DRS too, so it's not going to be an easy challenge. And I think this is actually one of those times where putting Magnussen into high aggression can pay off, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Hopefully we can send it into this corner. We kind of do. And next up then is just the AlphaTauri. And if we clear the AlphaTauri quick enough here, I do think that we can start eating into the gap of the cars ahead, so that when they pit, we do come out ahead and can potentially start creating a bit of a gap for our second pit stop. That is going to be the hope, at least. Magnussen gets the overtake done there beautifully. And with that now, we can start creating said gap. Now with that in mind, I'll allow Magnussen just keep on pushing, and we'll see how we end up once the rest of the grid start doing their pit stops. Rick is not giving up though, he is still attacking Magnussen, but even then, I think we will be quick enough here that we'll be leaving him behind within a couple of laps. So we'll allow Magnussen keep pushing, and we'll see if he can jump some of the cars ahead, as Sainz and Alonso now is in the pits, and both of them should come out ahead of him. But he does jump, well, at least some of them. So we are going to need these cars to stay out for a few laps longer. And, well, looks like that isn't really going to happen. So unfortunately, being held up there is probably why Sainz and Alonso came out ahead of us. But now we have more cars pitting. Ocon, Tsunoda, Hamilton. And at least we do jump some of them. So the strategy is working at the moment. But, yeah. We are probably not in the best situation ever. We would have liked to have been a little bit closer before the pit stop started. Well, that things to progress though, and see where we're at a little bit in a little bit here. Hulkenberg now has Hamilton and De Vries to contend with, so not a perfect strategy at this point by any means. But Magnussen now is still in with a chance of some points, so we'll try and see what we can do. I think the play here is going to be for us to run our tires completely into the ground. We have Leclerc, who's yet to pit, and you can kind of see we aren't too far behind him at the moment. Perez has yet to pit, but they're going to be pitting onto the soft tire, so yeah, we aren't too far off at the moment, as Leclerc does pit right now, but he should be coming out in a fairly decent window. Magnussen is currently being kind of held up by the 3 cars running in front of him, unfortunately, so while pitting is on the table, if we were to pit right now, we would come out behind another trio of DRS boys. So I'd like to try and avoid that. So we're going to allow Magnussen here to just push till the end. And also, if you're curious about the yellow flashing here, it's just minor damage to the engine, because we are now running an engine that's below 50%. It's degraded over the race weekend, so no big deal. Nothing has really happened. It's just a usual degradation, so to speak. Now, I do think that this is a lot what we are going to have to pit Hulkenberg, though. He's currently running in 14th behind Bottas and not really having a good time. So we are just going to try and get him in here. Hopefully we can fight him into the points, but I think that is going to be a bit of a struggle. Let's put it like that. It is going to be a struggle for him to get into the points from this point on. And we are going to have to pit Magnussen at the end of this. There's just no way around that. Now, what we could do for Magnussen, because we have actually stretched our tires a little bit, is maybe switch this to a full attack medium. I don't think it's going to be quicker necessarily, but it would be, of course, beneficial to check every strategy that we have available to us. And as you can see, it would be estimated to be quite a lot quicker than switching onto the soft tire. So, should probably check that for Hulkenberg too, to be fair. That's on me, but Hulkenberg doesn't have an extra set of mediums, I believe. So, yeah, not really a strategy that we could employ with Hulkenberg. But this is going to work out nicely for Magnussen. So, we're going to go ahead and do that. There is, of course, a secondary question with that. If us jumping onto a soft tire now would be more beneficial because we can run it more aggressively. Would it be better, potentially? No, it would be about 4 seconds slower. So that is what it is. We can, however, turn Hulkenberg up to aggressive then, because as you can see, from Magnussen's estimations, doing that shouldn't really be a negative. So let's see what we can do. 15 laps to go. Magnussen does his final pit stop. Where exactly is he going to come out? That is going to be the big one. And Norris, that's the trio that we kind of wanted to avoid, I believe, for the most part. And we do actually come out ahead of them in 9th. But we have them on our tail here, so we're going to go ahead and deploy. And hopefully stay ahead at the end of this DRS zone. Although Norris will be allowed to launch a bit of an attack. Staying ahead was possible. And with that, we can now start the chase to hopefully chase down some of these cars. Hulkenberg, I don't have much hopes of getting him into the points here. It's going to be kind of a struggle. He's currently a good 20 seconds off. But we'll do our best to make something happen. Let's see what we can do.
Sorry about that, guys.
We've had an incident here with Hulkenberg. He has crashed. And that is his rear tire broken. That's the gearbox gone, the RS gone, and the engine gone. Luckily for us, all of these parts are parts that we probably wouldn't be using for too long anyways, with the exception of maybe the gearbox. So it's not a terrible thing. Major damage to chassis, rear wing, and suspension, however. And where exactly has he crashed? Not in the best of positions, as that might lead us to getting
Right then, we can
virtual safety car, full safety car even.
Turn 13.
But he is off the grid proper, and yeah, that is just a proper hit with the rear.
VSC.
This virtual safety car is actually not beneficial for us, as terrible as it is. Cars will be able to pit ahead if they feel they need to, but we are losing laps here where we could do some hunting basically, and that is that's not good for us. 10 laps to go. We're losing hunting time. Hulkenberg, unfortunately, just had a miserable weekend altogether. Luckily, it didn't last for too long, and Magnussen is now released and back to hunting the cars ahead. So we'll have to see what we can do. We have set fastest lap, and for us, we did get released in the corner, but it was the high-speed corner, I believe. So, well, a high-speed section. So not really that much of a benefit. As we get close to Stroll, and it's hopefully going to be able to get the overtake done. But yeah. Hopefully here, we can chase down these cars before the end of this race. Although we've had another incident with multiple cars crashed, Stroll running wide. Hopefully we didn't crash with him. I did see that. That is one of the times where they can actually rejoin and crash, so that is a bit scary. But I don't think we were involved in the incident, at least. Norris was behind us. minor touches between them. Nothing too serious, but still not really, you know, a great thing. So it is what it is. We're going to turn Magnussen up to high overtake aggression again. It is a risk, but we need to clear the hard tire Stroll here quickly. And the problem with hard tire Stroll is that he has a lot of tire, and he's going to be running probably full attack here. And that is going to make him actually kind of hard to leave behind, even if he is on a worse-ish compound. Now, the 3 cars ahead up to Alonso. Can we catch them before the end? We'll have to see. Perez snatches fastest lap from us. And we do take the fastest lap back. But even then, as you can see, Stroll here is quick. And he could potentially get an overtake done here, and he will. So, Stroll is going to be a bit of a bother. But we are closing in by about a second a lap currently. So if we can keep this up, we might be able to try and launch an attack up to Alonso. Probably not up to Russell, we just don't have the laps for that. So Ocon is going to have an amazing result here for the Alpines, most likely. But yeah, let's see if we can chase down the 2 Ferraris and Alonso before the end of this. Although, Magnussen, I assume, has been run kind of off the ground here. Off the track by the car behind. Which would suck massively.
If we watch Magnussen, now there's an inviting opportunity there.
Did he turn into Alonso maybe? Yeah, you could argue that.
Pretty risky.
Sorry, not Alonso, Stroll. That's very frustrating, and the front wing is damaged enough here that we are going to have to pit, I think. Just have to try and pit and make the best of it. There's just no way around it. Oh, that is...
More lifting coast, please.
That is very annoying. And of course, Stroll. Really, really terrible race weekend. Really, really terrible race weekend. New front wing penalty. We didn't actually serve the penalty, that's the best part. We are going to pit once more to serve the penalty. And, question. I want to test this right now because we have no chance of getting in the points. We have a few laps to play with. If we just run into pits now to serve the penalty so we don't get penalized, well, to be fair, we're going to get penalized at the end of the race anyways then, aren't we? I'm overthinking it. Basically, I was afraid that we'd have to take the penalty next time, but we'll just have it added to the race time, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But yeah, this is frustration at this point, that first of all, Hülkenberg crashes out. Then Magnussen makes a mistake in his fight with Stroll. From peak confidence too, which was very, very unfortunate. We even pulled him back to low aggression. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll just allow this race here to run its course. Magnussen is trying his best to fight his way back in the points, but I think that is going to be next to impossible. I think our only hope or goal here is going to make sure that we do snatch that fastest lap so that the Red Bulls don't get it. But Magnussen is quick here. And if it was Tsunoda rather than Hamilton, then maybe we had a chance. But even then, we have our own penalty. So, yeah, no real chance of points here. We'll just allow the race to run its course. And then we'll see where we end up here. Race winner is Verstappen, Perez second, so yeah, this was a terrible race weekend for us. No points gained, at least we did eat the penalties in a bad race weekend, so that is good. But Hülkenberg is most likely going to be eating a gearbox penalty within the near future. Verstappen first, Perez second, Russell third. Ocon did not get that podium for Alpine, unfortunately. Then we have the Ferraris, Alonso, Bottas. That's impressive, actually. Piastri and Tsunoda. So the mayhem of this race did open up for some interesting podium positions. Let's just put it like that. Now, as you can see, Red Bull scored a good 58 points this race weekend compared to our 0. We still have the lead in the championship, but that should mean that Red Bull does shoot past us in constructors quite healthily there, 45 points ahead. So we're going to have to basically make sure that the car that we make over the summer break now, hopefully, will be competitive enough that we can start putting in 1-2s or at least both cars on the podium results. Now, Bottas is happy with us. We are targeted for 4th. We're currently 2nd. We have scored podiums 25% of races. We scored, well, podiums in 10 out of 13 so far. So they're very, very happy with us. How about inspection? Yeah, we do have a lot of damage here. The main concern here for car 2 is going to be the gearbox here. Only has one fresh one. Luckily enough, this was the like old-ish ERS that we were going to replace. It's not the fresh one. And this engine was old anyways. So with the exception of the gearbox, nothing too serious there in terms of damage. But at the same time, even though I say nothing too serious, it doesn't mean anything that it doesn't mean that I'm happy with the current situation. Let's just put it like that. So it is what it is. We'll have to install that new suspension there, and we'll have to manage the car. So the powertrain and Magnussen again. The engine is just worn, so it's the same for Hulkenberg really. So you can kind of see why I'm not too upset about that. But yeah, Belgium was a terrible blow. We'll have to see if we can make a bit of a comeback. Dutch Grand Prix since 25 days. Chassis, underfloor, rear wing will be done by then. Side posts we've done the day before. So hopefully over the next few races we can actually go ahead and develop a bit of a better car. I probably should go ahead and get some manufacturing started too, to be fair. On, well, chassis, underfloor, rear wing. Let's see what we actually can manufacture. We are making suspension. Underfloors we're good on. Side pods we are basically good on. We have 3. Gonna get the most likely new ones. Rear wing, we'll have a look in 6 days. The front wings are looking good. Might as well go ahead here and replace them. I am tempted to make one more chassis just to be on the safe side. But let's be honest, we're making a chassis right now for competitive use that will be done in 9 days. So no need to do that. We don't actually need to make any of the parts that we have available to us at the moment. So the rear wing here, this is one that we'll go for. It will give us a little bit of a boost in top speed. It'll give us a little bit of boost on the cornering, even more DRS effectiveness. So this thing is actually going to be fairly impactful, I think. But I think that's also us done with the rear wing from this point forwards. And I think we'll start working a little bit, maybe on suspension. I'm just going to check my notes quick here because I do actually have some notes on what I was planning. Yeah, I think we are going to be working on suspension, most likely. Get that up and be a little bit more competitive, hopefully. So let's kind of get this set up, get to work, if you will, and already it is a little bit of a gain. But we are already making a new suspension along the same kind of lines. So we're gonna have to do a couple of iterations, which means that we'll probably just use this for the last few races of the year. Probably better to use CFD time on it as well. Per main is upgrade to a 91 rating, which is good. But yeah, I'm a little bit unsure what our absolutely best kind of development tree at this point would be, as we have a factory fire and our manufacturing is shut down for a week. That's a bit of a bad timing, honestly. So we've not had much luck in this episode, with the exception maybe of Verstappen's crash in Hungary. Cornering point there for Magnussen, we'll take that. Can be actually be pretty happy with that. And we'll go ahead and set up the pit crew training. You can see that we have a bit of a slower stops than what is estimated. So we're not really having the best of time with our pit crew. But I'll get this sorted quick. And then we'll get ready for the Dutch GP. And hopefully we won't be seeing Max super improve his advantage. Basically, have another race weekend like the last one at the Dutch GP. There we go. We're getting some fatigue in. But yeah, I'll get this sorted, and then we'll see what we do. So this is what I'm going for. We do have some week off after Monza, so we should be fine with just setting at least 3 days here. We have focused a bit on the gym training for the time being, which is fine. We're going to be able to lower the chance of mistakes slightly. We're going to be able to get a little bit quicker on the pit stop times, so I'm happy with that. We'll have to see if we can actually get any more work done before Monza after the race weekend itself. Now, in 3 and 4 days, we're getting the underfloor and the chassis done, but we're going to have to wait until the factory fire situation kind of does sort itself, because if we do try and make it right now, it is going to be an emergency manufacture. But as you can see here, we are getting a lot of high speed cornering, low speed cornering from this, losing a little bit of top speed. But this underfloor should be good enough that we don't really have to worry too much about it. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get that manufactured as soon as we can. Now with that underfloor, I'm pretty sure right now we can't really get, get any more gains out of this one. We kind of gotten to the point where it's going to be very, very diminishing. So what I'm thinking we're going to do here is just, we're not going to develop the underfloor anymore. I would like to maybe get back on working the front wing a little bit. We already have a lot of airflow front, so it might not be the best idea. But what we could do is make wings that focus a little bit more on, say, medium speed cornering as well. As you can see, this is a bit of a smaller gain, but it is a gain. And we might just have to do that with, less lifespan in order to get a little bit more performance. And honestly, I would be okay with this. So we're going to go ahead and develop this front wing. We kind of need to, I do think. Yeah, we'll have to wait for the fire situation to get sorted before we do make these components. Now for the chassis here, this one is going to give us a ton more of the top speed that we have been sorely lacking. It's going to put us to the middle of the grid. We are going to be losing out in the high-speed corners as a result. But again, that shouldn't be a big deal. This would probably be our final chassis. But at the same time, we're kind of limited on where we can find gains at the moment. I don't think we'll be getting anything more out of the underfloor or the rear wing, really. So I think we just keep on developing the chassis even further, get some more of that top speed back. I think we don't need to focus on engine cooling. We'll just do it like this until the end of the season, maybe. Or we might stop development altogether, because as you can see here, cost cap remaining 27 million. That's not a lot of money with 10 races to go. So I'm a little bit unsure here, because we could end up in a situation where we need to get engines. And again, the gains that we can get from the chassis at the moment are going to be very much diminishing returns. So I think we are going to have to make the tough choice to leave one of the development slots open. Because as I mentioned, I don't see a situation here where we will be able to get enough performance from continuing development to really justify it. So I think for the time being, we keep this slot open. I want to see if the rear wing can be improved further, though, because this does seem like the rear wing might, compared to the manufactured one. I'll have to go into the warehouse to have a look at that one. Compared to this one, it's a little bit of a gain. We can actually put it on car 1 to get a direct comparison. If we were to focus on the rear wing again, could we benefit from that is the big question. As you see, it would be a very slight gain again. We could focus on one particular aspect, like the low speed cornering. That could work. But it's not really going to change anything, I think. So I think for the time being, we keep that slot open. I don't think we can get much gains in any one of these three. And we do have some financial constraints in the sense that we might need to buy some more car parts. And I would like to have the budget to do so if I need to. We're also going to need to manufacture a lot of these car parts as well. So it's a bit of a bad situation all around because of that. And I would like to try and get some of these components, like the chassis, within a reasonable time frame. And as you can see here, we're not getting them done before Singapore, even if we rush them. So chassis are a bit of a problem. We could try an emergency manufacture, but it's going to cost us 4 million of the cost cap instead of 1.5. So I think we'll just rush 2 chassis for now. And even if we just rush 1, we're going to get it after Sandward. Then we're going to most likely need to rush another one anyways to get it before Singapore, because this is Haas. So let's just go ahead and rush 2 for the time being. And we'll just have to be happy with that. For the front wings here, we have gotten them manufactured. We're going to go ahead and install them. And I think we just make 2 more to be on the safe side. If we have manufacturing slots, we should use them at this point. Let's just make sure that we have everything else kind of being made. Side pods here, don't really want to make these. Let's be honest, we're making new ones. The final edition underfloor we are going to go ahead and make. It has a lot of cornering. We do lose a little bit of top speed. But again, that is something I'm happy with. And again here, I think we do need to rush it. So that we can actually get it in a reasonable time frame. At least the first one we'd like to rush. And then we can take a look at the second one. How we want to do that one. Suspensions we are already manufacturing. And with that, I think we're actually using every slot right now. So we can't actually go ahead and make... Yeah, we can't go ahead and make any more front wings. The Haas does have its fair share of challenges in terms of manufacturing, which is just how things be. But our slot did open up there, as we did get the suspension made. And let's have a look here. I think it is more important for us to get another suspension made, rather than doing anything else here. The front wing, the side pods, neither of these are critical right now. Let's just get another side pod, suspension in there. I am having a little bit of a discussion with myself at the moment because of the fact that we need to kind of maximize potential with the last 30 million or 27 million that we have of the cost cap. That is going to be a little bit challenging here. Okay, the first underfloor has been manufactured. Let's go ahead and have a look at what we can expect for the second one. It's going to take us 2 weeks. So we're not getting it before Monster. Even if we rush it, it's going to take 2 weeks. If we make them normally, we can get 2 made before Singapore. So I think we're just going to order 3 of them right now. And that will be okay. Just get them made normally. Now, the underfloor that we do have, we are going to put on Magnussen's car. Magnussen is the one that is currently performing, although, let's face it, no one performed in the last race. So we are going to be prioritizing him. Hopefully he can beat Verstappen by the end of this. That's kind of going to be the hope anyways. And with that, we also have the sign pod design complete. And we actually did need a slot for that in the manufacturing scheme. But I think we're just going to have to wait for the railing to be done in 5 days. Could also cancel that final railing. But I think we can allow ourselves to wait 5 days to get it done. Allow the race weekend to pass. Manufacturing is going to be paused during the race weekend anyways. So, yeah, we're basically just losing 3 days worth of manufacturing time. And I can accept that. We are getting a lot of engine cooling back. Getting a little bit of top speed there. Getting a little bit of cornering. But what I think we're going to go ahead and do here is actually make a new side pod with a bit of a different philosophy where we actually do completely ignore the cooling aspect. And even then, we are getting decent gains. So, yeah, not really being ignored. The question is, can we develop this thing in a good way? And honestly, the way that we do that is probably just use CFD time in 18 days. I think we might use CFD here on... there's 2 things we can do. You can use CFD on front wing, side pods, or chassis, I think. So I think we just keep it open again. It is a bit of a weird thing to give up development in August. But that is generally where we're at. I am worried for our finances. I do think we are going to need to buy another engine for both cars. So cost cap wise, if you see at the projection here, 17 million. 10 of that is going to go into new engines. We're going to need at least 1 more gearbox. So then we have 6 million left for manufacturing the parts for the rest of the season. So yeah, we are not going to be designing any more parts at this point. So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting situation to be finding yourself in, where you actually have to limit your designs, because if you don't, you're going to be suffering for the suffering the wrath of the cost cap. Would it be very funny if I get fired before the end of the season because I go vastly over the cost cap? That would actually be kind of bad. But yeah, let us get into the Dutch GP here, Verstappen's home ground, and hopefully we can have a bit of a better showing than we did in Belgium. So let's get this one done. It is going to be rainy, so this is going to be a bit tough. Let's see how we do. So the new upgrades here are looking very, very good with Hulkenberg and Magnussen 1-2 on the grid here. We have almost half a second down to Leclerc. We have an actual half a second down to both Perez and Verstappen. But Q3 here was very wet, with both runners being set on wet and intermediate tires. So probably not completely representative of actual pace, let's be perfectly honest here. But we have a very good starting point. Hopefully we can build on it. If it is going to be completely wet here for the race, it is estimated heavy rain. And this could make things a little bit interesting. Let's put it like that. We need to keep things going to at least lap 20. And then we're going to have what looks to be a very close fight between wets and inters before we go inters for the rest of the race. So it's going to be a bit of a rough one here, I think, to figure out strategically for us. Now, what we can do is probably start on the medium tire. I think that's going to be the best bet. It's going to give us the best opportunities to go longer if we need to, and I think it's just going to be the best option for us. Now, around lap 20, we are going to have to pit to either a wet or a medium. We're going to put it just wet here for the time being, so we have a bit of a holder. And around lap 40, we're going to go to inters till the end of the race. So, yeah, at the very least here, as you can see, we are going to need to, if we end up going inters for this stint, for the second stint, we are going to have to go to probably another pit stop anyways. So this is what we'll be going for. We'll go full attack in the beginning. We'll try and take care of our tires after that, because I think that is the best that we can do. So let us just go with that, see how things develop. But yeah, this race could go either way. Our weather center isn't the best here, I believe. If we take a look at the... I don't remember exactly what our weather center percentage is. We're probably around the 50% mark. So yeah, could be that the rain arrives earlier, could be that it arrives later. And depending on either which one it is, the medium tire could be a bust or it could be the best thing available to us. We'll just have to wait and see here. But yeah, let's jump into the race itself, see what we can do. We are going to go full attack for at least 1, maybe 2 laps there, just to protect ourselves. And we have a soft tire on a Red Bull. I do see a lot of Red Bull, see some hard tires. So that does lead me to believe that potentially here we are going to be seeing some different strategies. There might be some pit stops before we get to the rain, but the fact that we are seeing hard tires does give me hope, as we have a fairly decent start here. But both cars keep their positions. Leclerc keeps his position as a bit of a buffer to the Red Bulls. But yeah, the hard tires do give me a little bit of a fright there that maybe, just maybe, we'll be going long here for this race. And that might actually end up being the case. We'll have to see. But can't really do much about it other than just wait and see how it develops. We are going to be pushing fuel though until we get to the rainy period. Can regain it a lot quicker while it is wet on track. But I'd say this is a good start. We have created a bit of a gap to Leclerc, who is running medium tire. Paris running the soft tires. Verstappen is on hard tires. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how this does end up developing, as Leclerc is now in danger to Paris. And if Paris gets the overtake done, which it will, he's going to start chasing us down immediately. But yeah, let's see where things stand once we get a little bit closer to the rainy period. We've had a bit of an incident here. Just the yellow flag for now, though. Let's see who has had a bit of an incident. It's actually Gasly and the AlphaTauri. Bit unfortunate there for both of them, but it is what it is. Now, we have been able to hold on to our positions. We haven't really been able to create any gaps, though, which could come back to bite us later on. But with both of our cars DRSing off each other, for the most part, we are able to keep the cars behind at bay. Honestly, having Paris run with us isn't really a big problem here, because currently it does look like he is going to have to pit before the rain arrives, as it has been moving more and more towards lap 25. Still 8 laps to go here, and he has used, well, a lot of his tire. He does end up pitting. So we might want to consider conserving our tire a little bit. Sainz is going to have to pit. Alonso, every soft runner, is going to have to pit onto another set of soft tires. So medium or hard was definitely the correct choice here. Let's just be perfectly honest about that. And you can already see the gaps are starting to form. Now, Verstappen and Sainz or Leclerc are going to be a bit of a different problem. But currently, we'll have no problem going, I think, until the rain starts proper on these tires. Might need to run them a little bit more conserve, worst case scenario. But looks like we are going to be fine until we get to the rain itself. So we're getting increasingly close to rain here. Leclerc has overtaken us. We are pushing at this point, but even then, not really much happening. But we are getting to a point right now where we can consider jumping at least one car into the pit. As you can see there now, the rain has went from 0.6 to almost 0.8 here in very, very short time. And judging by this, I would think that we are going to get a full wet scenario for at least a few laps here. Well, few laps, 15 or so laps. So what I'm thinking is that at this point, we allow Magnussen maybe to jump in first. We're going to allow Magnussen to go in first. We are going to go for a wet tire. And it could backfire horribly, but if you looked at the graph there, we should be getting, should being the operative word here, we should be getting full wets in just a couple of laps time. So we're going to go ahead here. We're going to get in Magnussen in first, put him down to standard so he doesn't immediately burn those tires into the ground.
How are the conditions?
And Hulkenberg is going to do another lap here just to be on the safe side. But yeah, he's going to be losing a lot of time. I really should just double stack them. Magnussen comes out behind both cars there because we have slower pit stops. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll have to see exactly where Hulkenberg does come out. And what has everyone gone for? It is wet tires. Yes, we didn't make a wrong choice. But you can already see the kind of time loss here that Hulkenberg does have. So should have just gotten him into, it is what it is. It's going to have a bit of a gap now to make up. And of course he has an incredibly slow pit stop. That costs him a lot more time. 9.2 seconds. Slow. What exactly happened?
However, they can't seem to jack the car up.
I don't know if I agree with that. You got the tires on. Yeah, but yeah, as you can imagine, not the greatest stop there for Hulk. Luckily enough, he is ahead of Perez, but I think we're just going to go full attack here. Because again, it's going to be a fairly short stint here on these wet tires. Magnussen is falling behind Verstappen and Leclerc, which is unfortunate. But yeah, not really too much I can do at this stage other than just try and attack, try and catch up, and then make something happen. These tires can handle up to 95 degrees, so if we get there, we'll probably turn them down to aggressive. But we are going to try and push right now, and we are going to try and get, for Hulkenberg, a couple of these positions back. So yeah, I did make a mistake, not just double stacking that. I didn't think it would go up that quickly when it said that we had about 2 laps to go. So yeah, I should have realized it would just go up like as quick as it did. It's on me. It is on me. But yeah, I'll keep on working, getting these cars a little bit further forward. We are burning the tires at this point, but as mentioned, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Hopefully, we'll have to see, because as expected, we shouldn't be on these tires for too long. So it should be fine being a little bit aggressive. Lap 45 at most, so yeah, we should be okay. We're going to have to try and attack anyways to get past the cars, so that does limit what we can do. Turn him that aggressive, do a little bit of harvesting here, should still be able to stay ahead. Magnussen, we're just going to have to keep on trying to attack while we still have energy. So a little bit of work here as Hulkenberg locks up and loses that position, and another one immediately. So
Got even one.
yeah, not good, but nothing we can do with it. We're just going to have to keep on trying to get ahead of the cars ahead. Unfortunately, we haven't really been able to make any headway during this wet period, and we are getting to the end of it. So what I'm thinking we do here now is actually just push these tires. Hulkenberg is going to be close to the limit here. I think we're going to have to force him to do one more lap after this before we pit him. Could actually pit him early here. That might actually benefit him more, as the weather is getting drier. But I think it should be fine just pushing for one more lap behind the rest of the guys, and then we'll pit him. Magnussen, again here, we just need to try and get the crossover correct. And I think this lap is going to be it, basically, for getting in early and trying to catch the cars in front. It's either this or the next one. Getting it correct is going to be difficult. But I think we just jump in now. We push, we use our energy, we use a little bit extra fuel, and we try and catch up that gap that we have to Leclerc and Verstappen, because we are struggling intensely with getting overtakes done. And we'll try and do the same here for Hulkenberg. Get him in, try and jump Stroll and Perez, maybe even Hamilton if we're lucky. Magnussen goes in now. We're getting close to that 4 mark, so we'll have to see it now if we can have a couple of clean pit stops. Magnussen does have a clean pit stop, but he's going to come out in traffic, so that's going to slow him down a little bit here on this outlap, unfortunately. But if we push, we might be able to get something done. Now, in terms of the tires, it's not going to be amazing, but it is going to be the best bet that I think we have available to us. And we are just going to have to take care of the tires after everyone has pitted. I think that's going to be the play here. But Magnussen has caught up to the cars in front. Can't really do the pass. And for Hulkenberg, yeah, we're going to have to see what the difference in their lap times ends up being. But already Hulkenberg a second quicker than Magnussen. So, yeah, the pitting early here did kind of punish us because we got stuck in traffic. Verstappen and Leclerc doing another lap, though, could definitely help us quite a bit. So we'll have to see exactly how this turns out. But right now, it is looking promising for us. But I think we do need to turn down the tires now. We are burning them a little bit too quick for my liking. Okay. Gap-wise, we might be able to jump the cars in front. We'll have to see. Both Leclerc and Hamilton are... Sorry, both Leclerc and Verstappen are in the pits. We are jumping Verstappen, but not Leclerc. I'm somewhat okay with this. It's not amazing, but it is acceptable. And with that, we can actually turn them down. And Hulkenberg here did also jump his cars, so all things considered, not the worst. Well, moves here. We're now currently running 2nd and 4th, and that is very much acceptable. We'll just have to try and take care of these tires now. I don't think it's worth it to pit again. So we are definitely going to have to try and keep these going for the next 23 laps. Regain fuel, regain energy, and in Magnussen's case, maybe catch Leclerc by the end of this, but keeping Verstappen behind is going to be infinitely more important. We're getting close to the end of the race here. Hulkenberg is doing a good job keeping Perez behind. Can probably push fuel and go a bit aggressive here from this point on, just to be on the safe side. For Magnussen, we have been trying to attack Leclerc while also keeping Verstappen behind. We haven't had any luck so far. And with just 4 laps to go here, I do feel confident in turning up the aggression level. I want to get a little bit closer before we turn up the fuel usage and go basically full attack. But I think this is where we are going to start trying to make something happen within these last few laps here. If we can get Leclerc, that would be beautiful. But at the same time, we do need to save a little bit of time in case we need to deal with Verstappen. But we are close enough now that I think going full attack and going for broke might be worth it here. It's just a few laps remaining after all. So let's see here what Magnussen can do. We don't really have enough confidence that I would like to put him up to high aggression, because we're lacking car parts. That's number 1, so we can't really afford any crashes. And number 2, Red Bull are ahead, so securing 2nd place here ahead of Verstappen, securing 4th place ahead of Perez would be far more valuable to us, honestly, than anything else. But you can kind of see it. We are running these tires absolutely into the ground right now. We're losing way too much for just 3 laps to go, so we're gonna have to just turn him down. And I think that is unfortunately it. We're not going to be getting Leclerc, I think, unfortunately. We're also out of energy for this attack, so that does kind of tell you everything you need to know about this. No chance we're getting him now. We need to just save a little bit of energy, save a little bit of time that we have now for maybe, just maybe, protecting ourselves against Verstappen instead. It is last lap though, so let's go for broke and see what we can do. We are running close. Tires are going to go off very quickly here, as you can see. And the question now is, even with tires that have gone, Can we get a lucky pass with maybe the help of a back marker? But I don't think we have anyone ahead of us. And looking at the minimap, not really. So I think that is it, unfortunately, for this race. But Magnussen did make a few honorable attempts at Leclerc. Bit of a shame that I didn't get the pit stops perfect.
Checkered flag.
I feel like the second one was way better than the first one, at least. So we'll take that with us in the future. And Hulkenberg here did hold off Perez. Kind of what we were hoping for. So both our cars beat both Red Bulls. That's not a bad result, although to be fair, a win would be amazing here. It's still not terrible, particularly consider Hulkenberg did have that. Not only that extremely slow pit stop, but also the fact that he did an extra lap when he really, really shouldn't have had to. But yeah, we did prioritize Magnussen here. He did have the better car. He has had the better performance, so Hulkenberg did kind of suffer due to that. But yeah, a little bit of points again on Red Bull. Nothing massive, just 5. Ferrari get a win. Everything is good in the world. But yeah, we do extend the gap at least for Magnussen. And we're now just 40 points behind. But we are going to need a few wins here if we want to catch up by the end of the season. So we still do have a little bit of a challenge ahead of us, I do still feel. And particularly also financially, as I did mention. As Hulkenberg does improve himself to 82. And we have another one improving to 83. But that is going to be it for today. Hopefully we can make a bit more of a comeback next time. And as I did mention, we are probably going to end up buying engines. Maybe even a couple of ERSs. So financially, we are not in the best of straits right now. Might have been that we have focused a little bit too much on the science and rushing them. But it is always nice to explore new ways of playing the game. With that said though, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I do hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.